Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to have you here, guys. In today's video, as you can see, I want to share my thoughts on a fragrance from Lattafa called Maharjan Gold. I want to let you know how this fragrance smells like, how it develops, how it performs, what I overall think about the fragrance, and if it reminds me of other fragrances that I have tried. So yes, by the way, have you tried this fragrance? Of course, as always, if you have tried this fragrance, I would love to hear your thoughts on the fragrance. Let me know how does it smell like to you. Honestly, maybe I should have checked, but I'm not really sure if this is a unique creation or if it's an inspiration from a niche fragrance or something like this. But to my nose, honestly, it smells pretty unusual and quite unexpected, honestly. This is definitely a scent pairing that, let's just say, you don't come across every day, for sure, you guys, for sure. And also, something else to add, this is the kind of fragrance that, at least in my opinion, you kind of need to have an acquired taste for it. Like if you wanted to venture out and try fragrances from Lattafa, I'm not really sure if this is the first fragrance to try from the brand, unless you have a taste for more artsy, creative fragrances. So this opens up with a lot of black pepper, like freshly grounded black pepper. It feels quite cold, a little bit almost refreshing, but refreshing in a spicy way, I feel like. And I feel like it overall adds a lot of kick to the scent. So you have this peppery, very pronounced peppery nuance right from the opening with something green. I'm like green, almost a little bit mentholated, but not too much. And almost a little bit medicinal at the same time, something slightly mentholated, medicinal and green. But I feel like, luckily, at least for me, this facet fades away, let's just say, in 5 minutes maximum. And also the fragrance, the more it gets to sit on your skin, the more easy to wear it gets. And let's just say the more easy to tolerate it gets. The opening can feel a little bit more, you know what I mean? Like very love or hate kind of opening, for sure. Now you have the peppery facet with the green facet on a beautiful, rich, creamy, sweet caramel accord. It's almost like you have a fusion between a caramel accord with an ambery-like richness in a sense. So it feels very dense, very creamy at the same time, but very full-bodied. And I start to detect slight shy incensey facets in the background. Now in the opening, I feel like the incensey nuance is more on the shy side, let's just say. But as the fragrance starts to develop, this is all about incense to my nose. All about incense, but a very, like I've mentioned, a very unusual take on incense. I'm used to incense in fragrances like Uda Sweat from Swiss Arabian, for instance, that smells like a rose-scented incense stick that's burning, it feels very ashy. The incense here actually doesn't feel very ashy to my nose, and it doesn't feel very cold either. To me, it actually feels pretty warm, pretty warm. And especially in the opening, it sits more in the background behind all the other notes. Now, as the fragrance starts to develop on your skin, luckily that peppery kick starts to tone down more and more until you lose it completely. Luckily, so if you're not a fan of black pepper, don't worry. But also that slight mentholated medicinal facet that I'm not really sure where it can come from, faded away completely. Maybe it's the green accord that's emphasized by the pepperiness of the fragrance in the opening that makes me think of something a little bit medicinal, but luckily that fades away as well. And what you're left with, especially in the heart, I feel like in the heart it's the incense that shines the most, but it's a very beautiful warm incense, kind of smoky incense, it's not a kind of cold or like extremely dusty kind of incense that you have in Khaled by Lattafa. That one smells like you're burning like a cardamom vanillic scented incense stick, and you get very close and you get that dusty, ashy feel in the back of your throat. Yeah, that's that kind of incense. I feel like, as a reference, I love incense in fragrances. Incense is something that smells like incense sticks, burning incense sticks that are not burned yet, frankincense or different. I love the smell of burning wood chips. I love this kind of smoky kind of notes in fragrances, not even notes, more like accords. Yeah, but in the heart, you guys, what happens, like I've mentioned, the incense starts to get very warm, very pronounced, but right behind the incense, you have an extremely, almost a little bit gooey, creamy, but very dense caramel ambery facet that's very sweet at the same time. But not only that, you have the sweetness and that incensey facet, but it's balanced out, I feel like, by a woody accord. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like this has listed cedar wood, and I definitely detect a slight woody accord here. Now, I don't want to say that the woody accord overpowers the other notes, because it doesn't, but I feel like what I detect more from the woody accord, besides that slight rich woody facet in the background acting more like a support to the other notes, I also detect this very pronounced piney nuance that adds such an unexpected twist to all the other notes. Now look, incense and caramel, I'm not really sure if I have came across such a pairing in fragrances yet, or at least I cannot remember. But incense and caramel and piney facets, like a foresty, piney undertone, that's quite pronounced, you guys. I mean, like, I feel like it's, let's just say, especially in the heart, it's these three nuances that shine the most to me. The warm incense smoke that's very delicate and beautiful and subdued, and it's not overly heady by any means, with that beautiful rich caramel ambery facet and with that unexpected piney twist. Now let me know, do you love the smell of pine in fragrances? It adds almost a coniferous green piney twist to the overall scent profile, and I feel like it makes it go from, let's just say, a general sweet incensey fragrance to a very unusual and artistic and creative take on an incensey fragrance. Now look, bear in mind, I do feel like you need to have a taste for this kind of fragrances to fully appreciate this fragrance. Not only that, you need to have a taste for incense and you need to have a taste for sweet fragrances, but you need to have a taste for slight piney coniferous hints as well. I don't mind them. I feel like they add a beautiful twist to the fragrance, and they make it, in a sense, right when the fragrance could have been predictable, it's like a twist there that's happening, you know, and it makes the fragrance go into a completely different direction. Yeah, and even now when I'm smelling it, first I get the piney facet that's like a coniferous green hint, then I get the incense behind it that's very warm, and then I legit, like, as I'm smelling the fragrance, I can feel that gooey, richy, sticky, sweet caramel ambery facet. It's almost like that acts more as a base and it supports the other notes. I feel like this fragrance overall feels pretty layered and definitely has a lot of depth to it. It's not the kind of fragrance that feels flat, you know, it's not the kind of fragrance that feels thin. I feel like it's an overall fragrance that has lots of depth and richness to it. Even when I smell it now, I can sense the richness. It's a pretty robust fragrance overall, I feel like. Yeah, this is how it smells like to me, you guys. It's very interesting. It has a beautiful development. I have to say, I feel like my favorite part is, let's just say, 10 to 15 minutes in, when that peppery element get a chance to settle down a little bit, when that slight medicinal facet that I got in the opening, I don't know from where, fades away completely, and when the caramel really gets a chance to shine with that beautiful incense, because in the opening, even though you do get slight caramel incensey hints, but I feel like definitely the opening is, let's just say, quite overpowered by that peppery medicinal facet. Not in a negative way, but at least to me, it's good that they don't stay that way and they evolve, let's just say. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. You know what, sometimes when I smell it, the piney hint here, you know what it makes me think of? Do you know the smell of LME resin in fragrances? Or have you tried fragrances with a very pronounced LME resin accord? I'm guessing that might be what I smell in the opening that's not listed here, because it feels a little bit medicinal, yet a little bit green, yet a little bit citrusy. And I've noticed from trying various fragrances that LME resin can give that aspect in fragrances that smells slightly citrusy, slightly green, but very medicinal and very full. Yeah, I don't know, I'm not really sure, but let me know if you detect something similar. Yeah, I'm so curious to hear your thoughts on this fragrance. Let me know what you think about the fragrance. And as it stays on your skin, it gets warmer and denser, but it's the warmth that really shines to my nose. That warm, almost a skin-like warmth it has. It's very interesting with the caramel and with everything. It's a very beautiful pairing. Now look, is this the kind of fragrance that it's like my cup of tea? I'm not really sure if I would use something like this. I don't know. I have to say, I'm not really sure. Even though I love the smell of incense, I love the smell of caramel, but I'm not really the biggest fan of piney facets in fragrances on me. I want to put emphasis on this, on me, you know. I don't mind them on other people. I don't mind what the piney nuance adds to the fragrance. I feel like it adds a beautiful twist. It makes it feel much more creative, much more vibrant, much more artsy in a way. But I don't know if I'm the kind of person that could pull off such an artsy fragrance in a sense, you know. Even though, like I've said, I love incense, I love caramel in fragrances, but if you love all this with a slight woody nuance in the background. By the way, the woody facet in the opening, I don't get it at all. In the heart, it acts more as a supporting accord, let's just say, to give a lot of richness to the fragrance and to support with the overall structure of the scent, let's say. It's in the dry down when I start to detect slight dry woody accords, you know, like rich dry woody accords. But it never gets to overpower the fragrance to my nose. To me, is the piney hint that I get it much more pronounced. I'm not really sure if I have tried something similar to this fragrance. It's a very unique fragrance, at least to my nose. The only one that it slightly reminds me of, but even now it's like, I couldn't even say that they are like cousins, maybe they just have certain hints in common. This is him from Zadig and Voltaire. If you've tried that fragrance, there is like a peppery, incensey, vanillic forward fragrance. It smells, I love how that fragrance smells. Like, I feel like even though it's marketed as a masculine fragrance, to me that is a perfect unisex fragrance. But again, keep in mind the peppery hint there, it's pretty pronounced, you know, just like here, but here it's only in the opening. I don't know if this is a safe blind buy. I mean, compared to what other fragrances you can find from Lattafa, I feel like this is a fragrance for those who are looking for something a little bit different. If you're not afraid of the notes that I've told you about so far, if you're not afraid of the kind of scent profile that I've described so far, then it's definitely worth testing, because it's a beautiful fragrance, very well done, no sharp elements, no cheap facets, no alcohol blast. It doesn't hit your nose in any way. It's a beautiful constructed fragrance. But for someone with a taste for this kind of fragrances, I feel like as a reference when it comes to seasons, gender, versatility, everything like this, seasons I would say all year round, because even though you have that incensey element, but keep in mind it's not one of those suffocating, dusty, almost incensey nuances or very ashy or overly strong incensey facets. To me, it's almost like you smell the incense whiffs, in a sense, those warm incense whiffs, as you're smelling that sweet, rich caramel ambery accord, you know. It never gets to overpower the other notes to me. But I feel like it could work all year round, from spring, summer, autumn, winter. Honestly, I'm not really sure if I were to use like this one, if I were to wear it, I don't know if I would use it in winter. Because to me, black pepper in really cold, crisp temperatures, it can feel slightly sharp, you know, it can emphasize even more that cold sensation that's already outside, you know, like in winter, for instance, when it's like below 0 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I don't know if black pepper is the kind of note that I would gravitate towards then, but I feel like autumn, spring, summer night, summer day perhaps it might be too much for some. Summer night it could work for sure. I feel like as a standalone fragrance, it's more on the elegant side, but it's not your rigid, very serious, very mature kind of elegant. I feel like because it's more artsy, funky, creative fragrance, you could dress it up, you could dress it down. It's more a matter of taste than like rules of how to wear this fragrance. Yeah, performance is amazing, you guys. It lasts more than 6 hours. I feel like it's a pretty heavy fragrance, at least this one from the sample that I have. It's a very heavy fragrance. I did one spray, and also I will try to show you, but it is pretty oily. I'm not sure if you can see. It's a pretty oily fragrance, so I don't feel like performance is an issue with this fragrance. It's strong, it's heavy, it's heady, but not heady in a negative way. Heady in a sense that it is on the stronger side, you know. It's not one of those light and bright and breezy fragrances. When it comes to gender, I am tempted to say this is a perfect unisex. If, let's just say, this one wouldn't have had that piney nuance that I'm not the biggest fan of myself, I could totally rock this fragrance. I love the smell of incense, I love the smell of caramel, I love a rich, decadent fragrance. This is it. But because it has that piney element there, I don't know if I could wear it, like I've said, but if you're a woman and you do not mind a little bit of a coniferous green piney facet in your fragrances, you could wear it as well. And something else, it's not overly piney, overly coniferous, overly green, but it's green enough, you know, so that I can smell it. Yes, you guys, I feel like this is pretty much everything I wanted to say about the fragrance. If you have tried it, I would love to hear your thoughts on the fragrance. By the way, let me know if you know if this is an inspiration of something. If this is an inspiration of another fragrance and you know what fragrance it's inspired by, please let me know, because I would love to know. To my nose, it smells very unique. I don't know other fragrances, like I've said, besides the one from Zadig and Voltaire. When I smell this fragrance, I think of no other fragrances. This is everything I wanted to say about the fragrance. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. As always, if you want to tell me anything, please put it in the comment section and I promise that I will get back to you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, because this way you will encourage me to create more content here on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm not very active there, honestly, but there I chat more with you, you know, like people ask me all types of questions. From time to time I do Q&As. There I announce my videos. Yeah, but I'm not very active. But in case you would like to follow me there as well, follow me on Instagram, why not? I will see you in my next video, but until then, thank you so much for watching and I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye, guys.